Review MN 246. tley CRN 252. Biopic The Dirt, as vapid and sexist as the band in its he. Editors note the opinions in this article are the author's, as published by our content partner, and do not represent the views of MSN or Microsoft. Girls. The film, which premieres Friday, is based on the group's 2001 book, tley. Remarkably, the new Netflix movie takes the same pathetic approach. It's as if the film, directed by Jeff Tremaine, the story is narrated predominantly by bassist Nicky Sihs, played by Douglas Booth. Guitarist Mick Mart. The movie tley. Neil's girlfriend sits in on a rehearsal, and when she yells over the noise that the music is too fast, the band tells her to muzzle. Except Motley Crue was never all that great, and unlike NWA, Queen and other biopic subjects, it didn't bend the arc of rock and roll history. The Crue was more. The band had everything it took to be has-beens and were well on their way to that status until the book, complete with a braggadocio's memory of allegedly having sexual intercourse with an incapacitated woman, became a bestseller. In the film, the band's trajectory is short and meteoric. They play the strip, are signed to a record label, become famous and do drugs, which means sometimes snorting coke off the backsides of groupies. They hang around with audiences won't be turning in for the dialogue. It's as stiff as tender moments are just as brittle. Then there's the generic tour montage that looks pulled from Shutterstock.com. They. By the time a Pearl Jam poster appears plastered on a wall somewhere in the production's thin version of LA, it's sweet relief. The end of hair metal, related A100 most popular rock bands of all time 24/7, Wall Street.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,